Dear students, good afternoon to all of you. As we know that coronavirus COVID-19 has trapped all over the world, therefore we are forced to lock ourselves in the rooms. We know that in the last 20 to 22 lectures we have completed nature and development of public international law. Now it is the second unit that we have to start and discuss it. The second unit talks about sources and subjects of international law. As far as sources are concerned, Article 38 of the Statute of International Court of Justice is relevant to explain the sources of international law. It says that the court means here International Court of Justice, the court shall apply international conventions, whether general or particular, establishing rules expressly recognized by the contesting states. B. International custom as evidence of general practice accepted as law. C. The general principles of law recognized by civilized nations. D. Subject to the provisions of Article 59 of ICJ Statute, judicial decisions and the teachings of the most highly qualified publicists of the various nations as a subsidiary means for the determination of rules of law. Clause 2 of Article 38 says that this provision shall not prejudice the power of the court to decide a case ex equo et bono, meaning is that equity, justice and good conscience, if the parties agreed thereto. So as per Article 38 of the Statute of ICJ, international conventions, international customs, general principles of law recognized by civilized nations, judicial decisions, teachings or publications of highly acclaimed authors are the sources of public international law. Let us discuss custom as a source of international law. Here, customary law is that law which has evolved from the practice or customs of a state. It is evolved from the practice or customs of the states. It is the foundation stone of the modern law of nations or international law. Although in the last 3 decades, the treaty has replaced customary law as the primary source of international law, a great part of the rules which govern states and other international legal persons today still comes from this source. As pointed out in the Gulf of Maine case, International Court of Justice said that custom is ideally suited to the development of general principles and it is always available to fill the void should the detailed legal regime of a treaty fail to gain universal acceptance. But the process of customary law formation is an ongoing phenomena, and its great advantage is that it enables international law to develop in line with the needs of the time. Of course, along with this flexibility comes a certain amount of uncertainty and a lack of speed in the development of new law, and here treaties have a definite advantage. So if you compare custom with the treaty, customary law is vague. It is lacking there is the lack in customary rule, and the lack is uncertainty because state practice are not common, they are not uniform, and it takes much more time. Therefore, it is said that treaty is therefore custom is uncertain in terms of state practice as well as in terms of time. But beside this, it is important source of international law to develop public international law. What are the elements of customary law? When we say that customary law has evolved from practice of states, this is exactly what we mean. The activities of states in the international arena may give rise to binding law. For example, if all maritime nations declares a territorial sea 12 miles seaward from the coastline, a customary law may develop to this effect. Obviously, it is not all acts that can give rise to customary law, and there can certain conditions which must be fulfilled before practice crystallize into law. These may be described conveniently as the elements of customary law, and they derive mainly from a series of decisions of permanent court of justice and its successors. Principal among these, the Anglo-Norwegian fisheries case, Nicaragua versus USA. These cases are important to understand this. It should be emphasized that these criteria are not absolute or exclusive, and the weight to be given to each factor will depend ultimately on the subject matter of the rule that is in dispute. So two things are very important. First is state practice, second is consistency of practice, generality of practice, duration of practice, and opinio juris. So state practice, consistency of practice, generality of practice, duration of practice, as well as opinio juris. These are the important elements to understand the customary international law. Thank you all. I will continue on the point in next video lecture.